Hey guys, it's CutLightSmoke coming to you for a very unique accessory review today. Today we're going to be looking at the Herics Cigar tape. Now this is something that is actually going to come in handy quite often for me because there's a lot of times I'll run into cigars and I won't know the size or the diameter with the ring gauge, and without looking at the manufacturer notes, or if they were never provided, there's no way to really know other than measuring. And this is actually going to be a pretty solid tool for that. It's actually 4 measuring tapes in one. It has both ring gauge as well as length in both metric and imperial measuring units. So for our purposes, we don't have to worry about those centimeter people. We're going inches and we're going 64ths of an inch for ring gauge. So the cool thing about this tape, it's double-sided, right? So the yellow tape is going to be your inches and your ring gauge, right? And then you move it over to the other side, you've got millimeters, centimeters, okay? Very, very useful to have both. Not that I necessarily need both, but this will work in multiple countries. What do you know? So this Herics measuring tape, what I like about this for the ring gauge is, as you can kind of see, it's offset here. So your starting point at the 0, if you can see that, I don't know if that'll focus or not. I'll try to hold my hand behind it and see if it'll focus on the tape. But you can see where the 0 starts out, so when you wrap it around a cigar, it doesn't overlap the numbers that you need to see. And so it'll just stack on top of there, so you can actually see what your measurement is without having to kind of turn it to an angle. So today I've got a JSK Nugs. We're going to be reviewing this here shortly, to be posted here in the near future. But this cigar, and you might have already seen this review by the time you see this review. I don't know when I'm going to post either. But the Nugs, this is a 4.5 by 48 cigar. So we're going to test old Risty and see if he's making cigars the right ring gauge and the right length. So we'll start out with this ring gauge, right? So what you want to do is wrap this around here and then bring the other side all the way around. Now, crazily enough, bingo, we're right on the dot. There's 48 ring gauge. So ring gauge is actually measured in 64ths of an inch is the traditional way to do that. So a 48 ring gauge is 48 64ths of an inch, which I'm sure you can deduce that down further because they are all even numbers. But anyways, that is 48 64ths of an inch, and that's kind of how they figure that out. Now, for all you crazy people out there that are doing fat ass cigars that I don't think you should need to smoke, this mother goes up to 100 ring gauge. That's a hell of a cigar. If you're smoking 100 ring gauge cigars on the regular, probably reevaluate the hobby. I don't think you quite get it. Every once in a while having a novelty cigar, nothing wrong with that, like those footballs and all sorts of different things. I've smoked the Chief by Puros Indios on a camping trip once, 18 by 68 I think, or 64, something like that. Not quite as fat as the 100 ring gauge, but very, very long cigar and a total joke. It was terrible, if you're wondering. Back to this thing. So once you get past your ring gauges, then it moves on to the length of the cigar. And in the case of what I need, you have inches. So on this one, it goes all the way to 25 inches. That's a very, very long cigar. Again, if you're doing that every day, reevaluate yourself. Centimeters is on the back side. So centimeters goes all the way up to 65. So quite a few centimeters. I don't need that where I live, but you might. And for the ring gauge over on that side, again, it was in millimeters on up to 40. So very accurate on the ring gauge. So now let's test the length here and see how this one works out. So it's supposed to be a 4.5 inch cigar. So what we're gonna do is put our tape lined up right on the edge here at the 0. And if we go all the way down, it appears that this cigar is exactly, maybe a hair, and by hair I mean literally a hair out of your head, one hair off from 4.5 inches. So it's dead on. Very, very, very precise measurement there. This thing is made with some very high-end printing techniques, I guess, from what I hear. And so they make it so that it is very accurate. The materials, this thing is very tough too. It's not like paper or anything. It says it's made of fibers that are designed to last quite a long time, and it does have some strength to it. I'm not gonna like pull it to the point where it rips because I want to be able to use this thing quite often. But this is gonna come in handy, especially for the reviews I do, where I might not know the dimensions of a cigar. A lot of times, obviously, manufacturers provide all that info, but every once in a while they don't. Or you run into a cigar that might have been like a one-off event cigar, or who knows, some special edition that was only out for a little while or only made a few of them, and they don't have those specs listed online. You know, usually you can find everything on there. But anyways, this thing retails for $23.95 on the Herics website, and that is Herics. Herics. Hopefully I am pronouncing that right, and it's not Herics. Maybe that's what it is too. I don't know. But anyways, designed in the USA, made in Germany. So Germans, they make good things from what we hear, what we've seen. Except for wars. We might have won that one. But my humor today, I don't know where I'm going. But they come in these tiny little boxes. There is also some directions on the back that kind of explain how everything is to be measured and how to do it properly. And then there's also a little information sheet on the inside, kind of detailing the same, how to measure, and just some ins and outs of this whole measure tape. But anyways, that is what's included with this. If you ever find yourself in the position that I do, where you might not know the size of a cigar, this is kind of a cool little tool to keep around. I probably have any and every cigar accessory you could ever think of. In doing all these reviews for years, you just kind of gather a bunch of stuff. But this is going to be one of the more useful ones, and I have already used this to verify sizes on a number of reviews, and they have matched up with what I thought they might be, because all of us that smoke cigars often, we can kind of ballpark it looking at them. But with this thing, no questions. So super, super, super cool. It's very nice that they came out with this, and especially this little offset ring gauge thing. That's my favorite part of the whole deal. But I don't know if I can talk much more about a measuring tape, but definitely recommend this thing if it's something that you might need. It works very well. It seems to be very accurate, and I highly recommend it. I mean, you know, price for a little small measuring tape, $23.95, a little bit high, but you're only ever going to buy one, really, unless you lose it or break it. So an investment well worth the price. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you think that this would be useful. But other than that, guys, I hope you keep it smoky, and catch the rest of my reviews, and I'll see you later.